Welcome to our deep dive,
Yeah.
into the Salinas de Maras.
Yeah.
When I first saw pictures of these salt pans, I was blown away.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands of these like shimmering pools carved right into the mountainside in Peru.
Right.
It's like something out of a dream.
It really is a remarkable sight. And
Yeah.
and it's not just about the visual spectacle.
Yeah.
These salt pans, they represent a tradition that has
Love
been
it.
going on for centuries,
Wow.
possibly even millennia.
Exactly. And you shared with us a really fascinating mix of sources,
Right.
from travel blogs, historical accounts,
Mm-hmm.
even a local's perspective.
Yeah.
So we're not just going to cover what these salt pans are, but we're going to really dig into the why,
Yeah.
their history, their cultural importance, and what they mean for the people of Maras today.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity to understand how something as simple as salt,
Yep.
can be so deeply intertwined with a community's identity and
Right.
way of life.
Yeah, let's start with that visual impact
Yeah.
because, wow,
Yeah.
it's tough to describe.
It is.
Imagine thousands of these like geometric pools,
Yeah.
all these shades of white, pink, brown,
Mm-hmm.
cascading down the slopes of an Andean valley.
Beautiful.
It's like a giant shimmering mosaic.
And that visual allure, that's what draws tourists from all corners of the globe,
Right.
which is actually incredibly important for the local economy.
Oh, yeah.
It provides a source of income that helps sustain the community
Yeah.
and helps preserve this age-old tradition.
It's incredible to think that these salt pans actually predate the Incas.
I know, it's amazing.
Our sources suggest that they might date back to the Wari civilization,
Wow.
which flourished around 500 to 1100 AD.
Yeah, and the methods used to extract the salt
Right.
are essentially the same today as they
Oh.
were back then.
That's incredible.
It speaks volumes about the ingenuity and
Mhm.
sustainability of these traditional practices, harnessing the power of nature over generations.
Okay, now for the legendary part,
Okay.
there's this captivating Incan myth about Ayarkachi,
Right.
one of the brothers credited with founding the Incan Empire.
Mm-hmm.
As the story goes,
Mm.
his tears of sadness
Uh-huh.
crystallized into the salt springs that feed the Salinas.
Now, this legend is more than just a charming tale,
Right.
Ayarkachi's peers transforming into something as vital as salt
Mm.
really underscored just how deeply ingrained
Mm.
salt was in Incan culture. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a seasoning.
Right.
It was sacred, used in rituals,
Wow.
even for mummification.
It makes you appreciate those sparkling pools on a whole other level,
It does.
doesn't it? And here's another detail that blew my mind.
Okay.
Each of those thousands of salt pans
Yeah.
is owned by a local family.
It's amazing.
It's a tradition that's been passed down through generations,
Yeah.
making these salt pans the lifeblood of the community.
Yeah. This really highlights the idea of community ownership and resource management.
Right.
Imagine for generations,
Yeah.
families have been responsible for their own little piece
Yeah?
of this vast salt-producing landscape,
Wow.
carefully tending to their pools, harvesting the salt,
It's incredible.
even marketing it.
Yeah.
It's a powerful testament to their connection
Yeah?
with the land and each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how does this whole salt-making process actually work?
Well,
Is it as simple as it looks?
it's deceptively simple but ingenious in its design.
Okay.
It all starts with a natural spring,
Mhm.
gushing out mineral-rich salt water
Yeah?
high up in the Andes.
Wow.
This water is then channeled
Right.
using an intricate network of narrow canals
Right.
down into these shallow, hand-built pools.
I'm already picturing this network of canals like tiny arteries
Exactly.
carrying the lifeblood of the Salinas.
And then nature takes over.
Wow.
The high-altitude sun beats down on the pool,
Yeah.
slowly evaporating the water.
Okay.
As the water disappears, those dazzling salt crystals are left behind,
Uh-huh.
ready to be harvested.
It's amazing to think that the sun and the wind are the key ingredients in this ancient process.
It is.
And they produce different kinds of salt, right?
That's right. Depending on how long they allow the water to evaporate
Okay.
and the techniques they use, the families can create a variety of salt grades, from
Yeah.
coarse crystals to fine, delicate flakes,
Wow.
each with its own unique texture and
Right.
culinary application.
And of course, we have to talk about the pink salt.
Yes.
Sal de Maras. It's almost too pretty to use.
Beautiful, isn't it?
How does it get that incredible color?
That stunning pink hue comes from the unique composition of the spring water
Yeah.
and the clay lining the pools.
Mm-hmm.
The water is rich in minerals,
Yeah.
like iron, magnesium, and calcium,
Right.
which get absorbed into the salt crystals as the water evaporates,
Wow.
giving Sal de Maras its delicate pink shade
Uh-huh.
and a subtly different flavor profile compared to your standard table salt.
So it's not just a visual treat. It's like a mineral-packed flavor explosion.
Precisely. And there's even more to this salt than meets the eye.
Oh, okay.
Some
Okay.
sources tout its potential health benefits,
Clear.
claiming it's lower in sodium and richer in essential minerals compared to processed table salt.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued.
Good.
Now I'm dying to try this Sal de Maras.
You gotta try it.
Is it something you could just pick up at the local market?
Oh, absolutely. It's a major draw for visitors. You can find everything from basic bags of the pink salt to gourmet varieties infused with herbs and spices.
Right.
Some folks even swear by its use in bath salts and spa treatments.
It sounds like a souvenir I need to add to my list.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So if we were actually visiting the Salineras, what kind of experience should we expect?
Imagine this. You're standing on a mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
The air is thin and crisp,
Yeah.
and stretched out before you is this incredible panorama of shimmering salt pans.
Wow. Thousands of them reflecting the bright Andean sunlight.
Wow.
You can hear the gentle trickle of water flowing through the ancient canals, filling the pools.
Yeah.
And you might even catch a glimpse of families working their salt pans, using tools and techniques passed down through generations.
Wow, you're making me want to book a flight right now.
It's an amazing place.
And are there different ways to experience the Salineras?
Oh, yeah.
Our sources mention everything from hiking and biking to horseback riding and even ATV tours.
Exactly. There's an option for every type of traveler.
That's cool.
Whether you prefer to explore at your own pace or seek a bit more adventure.
Okay.
But no matter how you choose to visit, the important thing is to take the time to truly absorb the history, the culture, the sheer ingenuity of this place.
It's a great reminder that traveling isn't just about ticking off destinations.
Right.
It's about immersing yourself in an experience.
Absolutely.
Connecting with a place on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And in the case of the Salinas, it seems like that experience is truly one of a kind.
Absolutely. And that connection is what makes places like the Salineras so special. They offer a glimpse into a way of life that has endured for centuries. A delicate balance between humanity and nature.
Okay, so we've established that the Salinas are visually stunning, steeped in history and legend, and play a vital role in the lives of the Maras community.
Right.
But what about the 21st century? How do these ancient salt pans fit into our modern world?
That's a fantastic question, and one that we'll explore in more detail in part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Salineras de Maras. In part 1, we journeyed through time exploring ancient legends and uncovering the secrets behind those mesmerizing pink salt pools.
It's amazing.
But as we left off, there was this lingering question.
Yeah.
How do these ancient traditions fit into our modern world?
It's a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it? Yeah.
These age-old practices coexisting with the demands of the 21st century.
Right. And you know, you shared some sources focusing on the community and tourism. And so I think it'd be great to kind of look closer at how those forces interact.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned that each salt pan is actually owned by a local family.
It is.
And so I'm really curious about how that system works in practice.
Yeah.
Is it like a giant salt-themed family reunion up there on the mountainside?
You could say that it's a truly unique form of communal ownership.
Okay.
Each family inherits the rights to their specific salt pans, passed down through generations.
It's incredible.
Ensuring that the benefits of salt production stay within the community.
So it's more than just a job, it's a legacy.
Exactly.
A connection to their ancestors.
Precisely. And it's a system that fosters a deep sense of responsibility and stewardship.
Okay.
You know, these families are the guardians of their salt pans, meticulously maintaining them, harvesting the salt.
And even marketing their own unique product.
So they're really entrepreneurs carrying on this tradition that has sustained their families for centuries. That's really inspiring. So what does all of this mean for the town of Maras itself?
Yeah.
What's the vibe like? Is it a bustling salt hub or is it more laid back?
Maras is a captivating blend of ancient history and modern life.
Okay.
Picture charming cobblestone streets lined with colonial-era buildings Their doorways adorned with intricate carvings that hint at a prosperous past.
It's beautiful.
And all around you, breathtaking views of the towering Andean peaks.
It sounds incredibly picturesque, and speaking of the past, some of our sources mention that Maras was once a vital stop for traders.
It was.
A bustling hub on a route that connected the Amazon rainforest to Cusco, the heart of the Inca Empire.
Exactly. Maras played a crucial role in the flow of goods and ideas, a testament to its strategic location and the importance of salt as a commodity.
It's amazing how a place can evolve over time. From a bustling trade route to a more tranquil town known for its ancient salt pans. And, of course, the influx of tourism.
And that's the key word, tourism. It's become a major force in Maras, breathing new life into the local economy and providing new opportunities for the community, from homestays and restaurants to guiding and crafting traditional souvenirs. The people of Maras are finding innovative ways to share their culture and heritage with the world.
It sounds like tourism, when done responsibly, can really be a powerful force for good.
It can.
Preserving traditions while also supporting the local economy.
Yes.
But I have to admit, those salt pans are pretty Instagrammable.
Yeah, sure they are.
I can definitely see why people are flocking to Maras.
Oh, absolutely. The salineras are a photographer's dream.
Yeah.
Those geometric patterns.
Right.
The play of light and shadow, the vibrant pink hues of the salt. It's a visual feast. And as we discussed earlier, the popularity of those images on social media is part of what's fueling the renewed interest in Maras.
It's a fascinating example of how social media can actually play a role in cultural preservation.
It is.
By raising awareness and drawing attention to these incredible places.
Precisely. It's about striking that balance.
Right.
Harnessing the power of social media and tourism to share these wonders with the world, while also ensuring that it's done in a way that respects the environment, the culture, and the people who call Maras home.
Okay, so we've talked about the history, the community, the tourism. But let's get back to the salt itself. In part one, you mentioned that sal de Maras might have some health benefits compared to regular table salt. Can we dive into that a bit more?
Of course. Now it's important to emphasize that we're not medical professionals. And dietary advice should always come from a qualified healthcare provider. However, there are some interesting points to consider when it comes to sal de Maras.
Okay, let's hear them.
One of the main distinctions is that sal de Maras is a natural, unrefined salt. Unlike your typical table salt, which goes through a heavy refining process that strips away many of its naturally occurring minerals.
So it's more like a whole food, in a way.
Exactly.
Less processed, closer to its natural state.
And remember how we talked about the unique mineral content of the spring water? Well, those minerals like iron, magnesium, and calcium are actually present in the salt itself.
Which explains that beautiful pink color.
Exactly.
But those minerals must also impact the taste, right?
Absolutely. Sal de Maras has a slightly more complex flavor profile than standard table salt. It's a bit earthier. Some say it even has a hint of sweetness. And those trace minerals not only contribute to the taste, but also add nutritional value.
So it's not just a pretty face. It's the whole package. Beauty, taste, and potential health benefits.
You got to try it.
Now, if I were lucky enough to visit Maras,
Yeah.
where could I get my hands on some of this sal de Maras?
You'll have no trouble finding it. It's everywhere.
Oh.
In the local market shops, even from vendors right at the entrance to the salineras.
Wow.
And you'll find a variety of options from simple bags of the pink salt to gourmet versions infused with herbs and spices.
I'm envisioning a whole spice rack.
I know.
Filled with different varieties of sal de Maras.
It's amazing.
Okay, now back to the experience of visiting the salineras.
Yeah.
You painted such a vivid picture earlier.
Yeah.
It's like stepping back in time, witnessing a tradition that has been passed down through generations.
It's truly remarkable. Imagine yourself walking along the narrow paths that wind between the salt pans. The sun is warm on your face. You can hear the gentle trickle of water. And all around you, families are diligently working their salt pans.
Wow.
Just as their ancestors did centuries ago.
That's incredible.
They're using simple tools, wooden rakes, shovels, baskets, carefully tending to their pools, harvesting the salt crystals, and carrying on a legacy that has shaped their community for generations.
It sounds incredibly peaceful and meditative.
It is.
Almost spiritual to witness that connection between humanity and nature.
Yeah.
The continuity of tradition.
Exactly. And that connection is what makes places like the Cilenderas so special.
Yeah.
They offer a glimpse into a way of life that is increasingly rare in our modern world.
Right.
A reminder that some things are timeless.
And speaking of the modern world, you mentioned earlier that there are challenges facing the Cilenderas, right?
Right.
It's not all idyllic scenery and ancient traditions.
Right. It's easy to get swept up in the beauty and history.
Right.
But the 21st century brings its own set of pressures.
Yeah. What are some of the pressures they're facing?
That's a really important question, and one that gets to the heart of the delicate balance between preserving the past and navigating the realities of the 21st century. We'll explore those challenges in more depth in the final part of our deep dive. Stay with us.
Welcome back for the final part of our Salinas de Mara's deep dive. We've covered so much ground already, from ancient legends and family legacies to the unique qualities of that gorgeous pink salt.
It's amazing.
But as we kind of hinted at the end of part 2, these ancient salt pans, they aren't immune to the challenges of the modern world.
It's easy to get swept up in the beauty and the history.
Right.
But the 21st century brings its own set of pressures, especially when something as traditional as Sal de Maras intersects with a global market.
That's what I'm really curious about. We talked about how Sal de Maras commands a higher price because it's artisanal and mineral rich. But that price difference must create some tension, right?
It does.
Like, is there pressure to produce more?
Yeah.
Maybe even change the process to meet growing demand?
It's the classic push and pull between tradition and progress. On one hand, modernizing production could mean more families benefit and Sal de Maras reaches a wider audience. But on the other hand, there's the concern that scaling up could compromise the very qualities that make it special, that unique flavor, the handcrafted process, the connection to the land.
It's like, do you risk losing the soul of something in pursuit of greater success?
Exactly.
It's a tough question.
It is.
And I bet there are strong feelings on both sides.
Absolutely. And it's not just an economic debate, it's cultural.
Right.
For many families, those salt pans aren't just a source of income. They represent their heritage, their identity.
Right.
Changing the process might feel like betraying that legacy.
You've shared some sources that highlight the tourism angle too. And so that must be a whole other layer of complexity.
For sure. Tourism brings in much needed revenue, but it also raises concerns about sustainability. How do you manage an influx of visitors without harming the environment or disrupting the traditional way of life?
Right.
And how do you ensure that tourism benefits the community as a whole, not just a select few?
Those are tough questions, it sounds like. Finding that balance is an ongoing process.
It is.
A constant negotiation between competing interests.
Yeah.
Are there any specific environmental threats to the Salinas that we should be aware of?
Climate change is a major concern. Shifts in rainfall patterns could impact the flow of water into those intricate canal systems, disrupting salt production.
Wow.
And then there's pollution. Agricultural runoff, even waste from increased tourism, could contaminate the pristine salt springs that are the lifeblood of the Salinas.
It's a stark reminder that even a place as seemingly timeless as the Salinas is vulnerable.
Right.
So what's being done to protect them? To ensure that this tradition can continue to thrive?
There's a growing awareness of these challenges, which is a good first step.
Okay.
Local organizations are working hard to promote responsible tourism, educating visitors about respecting the environment and the cultural significance of the salt pans.
That's great to hear. What about practical measures like protecting the water sources?
There are initiatives focused on water conservation, monitoring water quality, and looking at ways to mitigate the impact of pollution from nearby agriculture.
Okay.
It's a multi-pronged approach, and it requires collaboration between the community, the government, and the tourism industry.
And on the economic side, are there any efforts to help those salt-producing families adapt to a changing world?
Absolutely. Fair trade initiatives are crucial, ensuring that families receive a fair price for their salt.
Right.
There are also programs providing training and resources to help them develop their businesses.
Okay.
Things like improving packaging and marketing, exploring new product lines, like those gourmet salts and spa products we talked about earlier.
It's inspiring to see that kind of proactive thinking.
It is.
Helping these families preserve their heritage while also empowering them to succeed in a modern marketplace.
Right.
But it sounds like there's no easy solution. No magic bullet.
You're right. It's a constant process of adaptation, of finding creative solutions to complex challenges.
Right.
And it highlights something crucial about places like the Salineras.
Mm-hmm.
They're not static relics of the past. They're living, breathing systems,
Right.
constantly evolving in response to the world around them.
It's a reminder that cultural preservation isn't about freezing something in time.
Right.
It's about finding ways to help it thrive in the present.
Exactly.
To bridge the gap between the old and the new.
Exactly. And when we travel to places like the Salineras, we become part of that equation.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to be mindful travelers, to support sustainable practices, and to recognize the delicate balance that exists between appreciating the past and ensuring a future for these incredible places.
I think that's a beautiful sentiment to kind of wrap up on our deep dive into the Salineras de Maras. Has been a journey of discovery from ancient myths and traditional practices to the challenges of modernization and the hope for a sustainable future.
And for our listeners, the next time you reach for that salt shaker, remember those shimmering salt pans nestled high in the Peruvian Andes?
Yeah.
And the generations of families who have dedicated their lives to this ancient and enduring tradition.
It's incredible.
It's a reminder that even something as simple as salt can hold a world of stories.
Yeah.
And that by understanding those stories, we can become more conscious consumers and more responsible travelers.
Until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the curiosity alive.